Paintbrushes, paintbrushes, paintbrushes. What paintbrush should I use? Well, today, that's what we're going to talk about. What paintbrush do I use? See you guys inside. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. As I said, we are talking paintbrushes. Here in a moment, we're going to hop over to the desk and we're going to look at different type of paintbrushes I use. Links for all these will be in the description down below. And I'm going to kind of discuss why I use what paintbrush I use. Now, these are purely my preference. I'm giving you guys a suggestion, an idea. These paintbrushes can range from anything at the Dollar Tree, $1.25, all the way up to $15, $16 a brush. It just kind of depends on what task I'm using and what I'm doing with it and why am I doing that task with that specific brush. We're going to hop over to the desk and we're going to talk specifically about all of that. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us as we are going to talk all kinds of stuff, paint, brushes. We're actually going to build models, which is going to be a lot of fun, and also working on dioramas and all kinds of other stuff. So I'd love to have you join and subscribe. Also, hit a thumbs up button on this so more people can get out there and see this video. And again, if you have any questions or comments, definitely hit those comments down below. Let me know the questions, and who knows, a video may come out of it. Kind of one of those fun things. So, guys, without further ado, let's hop over to the desk and take a look at these brushes. All right, guys, so here at the workbench, looking at the paintbrushes, I've got kind of an assortment on here. And this one, you're probably going to be kind of like, what the? But it's something that I use quite a bit. So first off, I'm going to start off with probably some of the most expensive brand brushes that are out there is by Citadel. These paintbrushes, they're good. They're not my favorites, but I hold on to them in a reserve. Usually I don't purchase these strictly at all. They come with paint kits and stuff or model kits that I sometimes pick up or a magazine that I subscribe with. So I've gotten 3 or 4 of these. I've used a couple of them. I have a hard time with these because basically, and I'll show here, the bristles kind of stay frayed and I just don't really enjoy the Citadel brushes. Now again, personal preference. You guys may really like them, but to me, they're overpriced for what they are. Now, I'm going to hop down to the cheapest. Dollar Tree paintbrushes. So these are kind of from a small set of Dollar Tree brushes. You guys can see I use these a lot. They're cheap. They fall apart sometimes. But I use these for large jobs, like especially these bigger brushes. If I'm covering a large area. But I also reserve these for doing stuff like varnishing. A lot of times if I'm doing painting with enamels, I may use these because sometimes getting enamel out of the paintbrush, well, can be a pain in the butt. So a lot of times I may not use my really good brushes in enamel painting or varnishing if I have to brush on the varnish. Now, like when I'm cleaning with enamels, I have to use mineral spirits or enamel cleaner, and that can be harsh on the brush. So I don't really like using horsehair brush and stuff like that. I'll use more synthetics, which is what these are, to achieve that. Now, of course, they're Dollar Tree. They'll lose their form over time. They start to fray, but they're used for a purpose. I use these more as a throwaway brush than I do my high-end. I'm going to use this a ton paintbrushes. We're going to get to those here in a minute. My top favorites. The next ones that I really like to use are the One Happy Choice. These come off Amazon, and you guys can see there is a very fine point. I like using these for doing facial features. Like for example, this guy, I'm getting ready to start going in to do his face. I've done a base coat, but I'll use this in very tight, intricate places. My only thing I don't like about this is how thin the handle is. I tend to kind of lose my strength grip on it. So I kind of struggle with these a little bit, but they have a complete purpose in my shop and I love using them for very high detailed stuff. So I'll set that one aside. So we've talked about 3 of them. Now we're getting into my favorite brushes. So kind of taking my time getting to them. The first ones I'm going to talk about is Magic Fly. So these sets run between 20 and 30 bucks. And you get multiple various different sizes. They come in a great holder. I really do like using these brushes. I especially like the bent brush, especially if I'm getting into somewhere. This really lets me do a lot of good work. And I especially like the handles. It gives me a triangle hold. I can hold these better. and it gives a better workspace for me to work in intricate spots, especially when I'm doing something like this where I'm having to go down inside. This paintbrush is very useful for that angle and still letting me see what I'm painting on. The other reason why I like the Magic Fly kit is I travel a lot. So I'm on the go, going to conferences with my spouse, Megan, and just kind of hopping all over the place. So I love the holder, works really well. I throw it in my, I have an ammo box that I use, and I'll do a video on my little travel paint kit in regards to what's in there and what I take with me. This rolls up real nice. I have just about every size of brush I need, and it works really, really well. Again, links for these will be down in the description. So, got the Magic Fly brush. Now, some of my favorite brushes, especially when I'm doing something very articulate and unique. It's a small company. It's a US-based company. It's called ZenBrush. They've sent me these that I have not opened because I'm still using my other ones. I hold these in reserve. But guys, these brushes are really high quality. They work fantastically, and I love using ZenBrush. They're really well made, and you can see a difference here in just the handle. See how I'm still getting a very nice tip, and actually I'm going to hop down to the smallest tip. It's a bit thicker. I get the very nice, good tip. But when I pull out the Oh Happy one, you can tell the brush is designed with a larger bore here, almost the 3-point design of the Magic Fly. It's still circular, so I can turn it in my fingers very easily, which I can't do with the Magic Fly. But the brush is just very well fitted to my hand and very easy to work with. I can get either come right down onto the nozzle into the reservoir, or I can stay back here. Now, one tip I will give you guys whenever you're painting, try to keep the paint away from up here. Keep it down on the brush. You don't want it to get up in here and dry, because it will start fraying your brush out, and then you lost a brush. But the Zen brushes, there's all different kinds of sizes. Link to ZenBrush is down in the description below. I mean, all kinds of different articulations, different handles, and different grips that may sit well and work best for you. That's one of the things I like about ZenBrush. These other brush companies, they're all kind of the same. They're all built the same. And I'm trying to look here for another Citadel brush, so I know I've got one. Where are you, Citadel brush? Actually, I'll pull out a Vallejo brush. I don't use these very often, but you can see even they've changed kind of the way they're designed. This is for dry brushing, so this is a different bristle type, but it's kind of one of those things you got to look at. And bristles can be important too. These are not synthetics. They're good, strong bristles, so I hold these in reserve, and I take really good care of these Zen brushes. I clean them really well. I keep the paint away from the socket, and honestly, I feel bad because they've sent me these new ones. I'm still using my old ones. They work exceptionally well for me. So basically, when it comes to my higher end brushes, I've got brushes that are I don't need brushes for a long time. And when you're painting, building hobbies and stuff like that, not needing to order a brush for a while, it really does help. But it also matters how you take care of your brushes. That's another video on how I clean my brushes. But another thing I'm going to pull into before I talk about the last brush is don't discredit the makeup brush. So this is a makeup brush. I think I picked this up at like Big Lots or something. Now I use this brush for dry brushing and smoothing. So comes in very handy. They clean up really well. But because of the way the bristles are when I'm like whitening edges and stuff like that, it's really nice for dry brushing and really quick, especially if you're doing a large project. These come in really handy, and honestly, they're not that expensive and can be really disposable. And before we talk about my last favorite brush, cosmetic sponges. I think this bag was a whole like $3 or $4. These are latex free. They're really great for sponging, for doing sponge work and creating pattern and design into your smooth layers. If you watched, well, no, I haven't put that video is not over here, but if you go over to my Rise 3D printing channel and watch the Battlestar Galactica builds, you'll see me using these a lot to do weathering. And that came in real handy over there doing that. So these are also very extremely useful. I love that I can just buy a bunch of them of a different assortment in a pack and use them. But now the last brush I'm going to talk about is my Tamiya Brush Pro 2. Now, why this brush? Well, real simple question. When I'm doing eyes or something really small, it is so hard to see, but that bristle is so teeny. So if I'm doing eyes on, say, the Space Marine, which he's the size of my hand, he's probably a 6-inch figurine, that little bristle is going to let me come in and put that little iris on there and get that little bit of extra detail that a lot of smaller brushes, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get in there. This thing works great. I use this a lot when I'm doing facials, especially, or face work, especially on minis like Warhammer minis and stuff like that. This brush is really helpful. I will tell you, this brush usually retails around 15 bucks for this little brush, but I found it works really well, and as long as you take care of it, it's going to keep working. You're going to get a lot of use out of it. So those are the brushes, guys. Let's hop over and let's close out the video. Thank you again. All right, guys, so that's my input on paint brushes. Whether you're using the expensive Tamiya itty bitty brush, or you're using the cheaper Dollar Tree 125 set of brushes to get tasks done, hopefully this kind of helps you out along your trek, figuring out what you're wanting to do and how you're wanting to paint, and kind of what brushes do you really need to do that. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of sales gimmick out there. Everybody has a different preference. These are my preferences on how I do what I do. So kind of keep that in mind as you go through. Now the Zen brushes, those are my top favorite, along with the Art Stick and Magic Fly, just because the way I hold the brush. So they may not be comfortable to you. You got to find a brush that is also comfortable. Like these little One Happy Choice brushes, these itty bitties, they're just so small, I tend to drop them. That's just me. You may not have that problem. So always kind of keep that in mind. So guys, with that, I'm going to say we're going to head out of here. If you're new here and you like the content, hit subscribe, as we have all kinds of new stuff getting ready to come down to the channel. And also hit that thumbs up button for me. So thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.